I don't want to say I was a lukewarm Christian, but I was definitely a spectator. I would do what I was supposed to do. And I went to church on Sunday and I filled a seat in order to fill a square. And that's who I was. And then when I started working on weekends, I joined a life group. And I had knowledge. I knew what the Bible said, and we talked, and I was living the good life. Until I was flying with another individual, and I love him, but he challenged me. And he said, "Charlie, you say you're a Christian, but your behavior does not show that of a Christian." I took that kind of heavy, kind of took that to heart. And I went home and I was thinking about it. And I thought, you know, people say, "Charlie, how you doing?" And I said, "I'm fine, I'm good," because I'm polite. That's what they want to hear. People say, "What do you believe in?" "Oh, I'm a warrior, I'm a patriot, I'm a veteran, I'm an American, I'm a Christian." That's what they want to hear. But I never really experienced what that meant. And I thought about it. What does forgiveness mean? I look at this shirt and I think, you know, there's one cross and there's 3 nails, and that's forgiven. And I've heard that all my life. And I'm like, what is forgiven? God loves me? And it wasn't until I was reading and I was looking here in 2 Corinthians 5:18, all this is from God who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. Reconciliation is such a big word for me, and I thought, God, I'm forgiven, I'm loved, but reconciled? If you're gonna rehabilitate me, you're gonna forgive me? No. He's gonna cover me in his blood, he's gonna forgive me, and he's gonna make me a citizen of heaven. I get to be his son, that I'm his, that I don't have to prove anything and do something on my part. I'm part of the children of God. And that's when it hit me. Why am I trying to do things to prove to God that I'm worthy when all I have to do is just know who I am in God and then show him how much I love him by going out and spreading the word? So it was a paradigm shift. I'm not a Christian and I have to be there to do this. I already am a Christian, and look at the love I have. Let me share that with you. And that was a heavy moment for me, but that was getting off of being a spectator and becoming a participant. So I'm a product of the world, and I identify a lot with the upbringing I had. I had a wonderful family. They loved me, and it was a military family. And I would have to perform in the house. I had rules to follow. And I found out that it was easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of trouble. And so I would meet what was required of me. I was a good boy. I was a Boy Scout. And so if I did things, I could stay out of trouble, then I showed them what they wanted to see, and then I could still be me on the inside. But the two never matched. I had to have all this energy poured into what is it that they expect of me. Am I meeting those requirements? Am I meeting the standard? And my performance was exhausting. I carried on through college, and I went to the Air Force Academy, and I was a big fish in a little pond until I got there, and then I was in the ocean. And I realized I was not as good as everyone else. I was not as smart as everyone else, and my world came crashing down. And at that point, I was full of despair. I had fear. I didn't know what to do, and I hated myself. I couldn't identify with anything because everything that had worked in the past wasn't working here. And then someone said, "Hey, do you know a Fellowship of Christian Athletes? Why don't you come with us and listen?" And I went there, and that's when I first heard the story about Jesus Christ. It wasn't in my home and family, it was at college. And it was in those dark moments that someone said, "Here is some relief." And sure enough, I found who Jesus was, and I accepted Jesus into my heart back then in the 90s. But that's what my story kind of stopped. I was saved, and then they went on to someone else. Who else can we save? But what next? What do I do next? Now that I'm saved, what do I do next? I guess I'm just a spectator. And I rode that wave, still misidentifying of what it meant to be a man of God. So there are those moments of doubts where you look at your life and you just wonder, what is the purpose of this? What is the point? And I was chasing everything in the world. Everything that I could put my hands on to entertain myself, to identify myself with, that which would give me joy. Because whatever I did would keep my interest for a certain amount of time, and then I wouldn't stay thrilled. I would be desperate and despaired. So my first assignment was up in Montana, and it was a pretty bleak mission statement. We were to end the world as we know it. If we were to be called on, we were to turn missiles launched nuclear weapons and end the world as we knew it. We were single, we were up in frozen tundra, and it was the dark days of my life. And I was under no order to make the world a better place, and I ran with a bunch of guys that we were out for the thrill of, I'm not gonna be here for a long time, but I'm gonna be happy in this short time. And so we chased women, we drank a lot of whiskey, we told horrible stories, we dared and challenged each other to do things. And I was going down this road that I thought I was a good boy. I thought I was a Boy Scout, and I was continuing down this downward spiral. And I didn't care. I just absolutely was just going with the flow. I didn't care. This is what the world expected of me, then I owe it nothing. I don't owe anybody anything. And it took me, thank goodness, God got me out of that place. I got to go to a different assignment, and changing my mind, my attitude, my heart, and my circle of friends took me out of a bad situation that was going to destroy me. Releasing so much burden, I could actually breathe. I don't think people understand how hard they have to try to work to keep up a lie, to perform to a certain level, to be the person that I thought everyone wanted me to be. And I put so much time and energy into it. And I would go home and sleep and think, tomorrow I got to start the process over again. I've got to prepare, I've got to have stories, I've got to be funny, I've got to be cool, I've got to be this. And it took so much of my energy. But now that I don't care what the world thinks of me, that I don't identify with this expectation of the world, I know who I am. All that energy, I can run down the hallways, I can skip, I can love, I can pray, I can hug another brother, a sister, a child of God, and just love like I've never loved before. The joy is not something that has to be manufactured anymore. It just springs up inside me, and it is so energizing to not have to waste my time, my efforts on something that was a lie. Now I can actually be who I'm supposed to be. And the gift set, maybe I'm still broken. Maybe I still get confused and say, well, God, I want to do this. Maybe you could design me to do this. But when I get into the Word and I'm surrounded by my brothers and they show me that I'm not using my gift sets for what I'm supposed to be doing, life is full of joy. Life has so much love in it. And it's just been amazing to me because of the energy that I am no longer wasting on that, but I can actually put forward for His kingdom. I was limited because I thought I had to constrain between the rules of pleasure and pain. I had to between these two ideals. And what God allowed me to do was just be me. God was allowing His love to overflow in my life, and then I didn't have to struggle with anger. I could let things go. That if I was impatient or if I was worried or stressed, I found out my priorities were mixed up. I didn't go to God at the very end when everything else failed. This freed me up because now I could go to God first and say, God, I'm putting this in your hands. I'm going to pray as though it depends on you, but I'm going to work as though it depends on me. And you know what? God has provided. And now that I see Him working, it revalidates everything that I've been told and everything that I didn't understand. It's like finally the knowledge becomes understanding that I'm not leading with my brain anymore. I actually am leading with my heart. And to lead with that, love comes first. That's it. And people told me that, but I had to experience and I had to have that breakthrough myself and just give up control of what Charlie wanted, what the world wanted. And now I'm trying to do, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I'm trying to do what God wants. And it is so exciting. It is so wonderful. And I've got peace, I've got joy. I love myself. I love who I am now. Again, I've had this problem with identity. What does the group expect me to be? What are they going to tell me? What am I going to find when I go to MPACT? And it's none of that. We are actually men that if you knew our stories, maybe you'd think twice about sitting next to me. You knew who I really was? It'd be like, I had no idea you were capable of that. But we all have our issues. I've got my story, this guy's got his, And we're not a therapy group, but we're a bunch of men that realize that we're all broken, that we are all in need of love, and that when we cannot carry the burden ourselves and we put it on God and we're asking for help, He provides a brother to help share that burden. That's what impact means to me, that I can share it with another brother and he helps me through my moments of weakness when I feel like everything else is working against me. I guess the best part about just freeing up of my identity of what the world is and everything else is that my family life has really improved. My wife loves the fact that she's loved and cherished, that she is of a priority now in my life, whereas sometimes I was worrying about what happened outside our house, wondered what people thought about us, about me, about our family. And now we get to be who God created us to be. And the love in our house allows us to carry ourselves with our heads up high and going out to share His grace. And you know what? We still have our bad days. But God has put people in our paths that has made us stronger, and it's made them stronger. And I think the biggest benefit my wife sees is this change of heart. My name is Charlie. I have a story, and I know you do too. I would love to hear it. And I am a man passionate about Christ.